We traveled to Jordan from Israel, crossing the border at Aqaba. After crossing the border, our guide drove north, towards Wadi Musa and Petra. Wadi Musa is the city next to Petra. Travel agency Desert Eco Tours in Eilat organized the tour for us. Then they handed us to a guide on the Israeli side, who kept communication with the guide on the Jordan side. Then we were babysitted all the way. After a 2-hour drive we reached Wadi Musa. We stayed overnight in Movenpick Resort Petra.
Enjoy your time.
Thank you.
Our guide picked us up at the resort in the morning and we went exploring Petra. There is a road from the parking lot to the gorge that leads to Petra. Petra is located between mountains and present path to it is through the narrow gorge. There are a few ruins along the road as well. Now we reached entrance to the gorge. The groove on the left wall is the ancient water draining system.
This is iron, sedimented, and the iron oxidize, so it gives you different coloration,
Petra was capital of the Nabatean kingdom. Nabateans were nomadic Arabs. They knew how to collect rainwater and manage agriculture in arid climate. They were also skillful in stone carving. Petra was built on the trade routes and became an important trading hub in around 2nd century BC. This is a famous Petra's building, Al-Qatsneh, or the Treasury. The building walls are marked by hundreds of bullet holes. Bedouin tribes believe that there are treasures hidden within its walls and they tried to find them. Petra declined under Roman Empire because most trade routes shifted to the sea. In 363 an earthquake destroyed many buildings, including the vital water systems. Then there was a revival under the Byzantine rule. Several churches were built or converted during that period. Crusaders established fortresses in 12th century. After they left, Petra was lost for the Western world until the 19th century. This is the art of making pictures using sands of different color in a bottle. Getting on and off a camel looked so easy when we watched the locals. When the guys make a camel kneel, hopping on was not hard, but we were not sure how they make them kneel. Then, when they make camels rise, it is quite a movement, similar to a horse bucking, just slowly. The street we are riding through is called the Facade Street. There are rows of monumental Nabatean tombs carved in the cliff. There is a Roman theater. Although Roman in design, it is carved out rather than built. Carving is Nabatean style. So, first we walked through the narrow gorge, just over 1 kilometer. We reached the treasury. Then we mounted camels and rode along the street of facades. We passed the theater and then reached the royal tombs. It is a continuous wall of large mausoleums. The next step for us was to dismount camels, but the question was how to make them kneel. The guide was pulling their heads down to make them kneel. There was also a hissing sound, but we were not sure if it was a signal for the camel or camel's reaction. When camel kneels, first you rock forward, then backward.
You're not scared.
Well,
Don't worry. Lienta. Yes.
We heard stories that in Egypt sometimes they let you sit on a camel for a low price, like $10, but then demand a much higher price, like $100, to make the camel kneel again. Now listen for the hissing sound.
Very good. Was it smooth? How did you find the camel ride? How do you find it?
Your legs over, madam. Your legs over.
I have got my phone. The video is there.
This is Urn tomb of a Nabatean king, who likely reigned from 9 BC to 40 AD, the peak of the Nabatean kingdom.
Hello. Hello. The echo. You hear the echo?
Hello. Huh?
We decided to use a mountain path on the way back. It was not that easy in scorching heat. This is an ancient water pool. It still fills with water when it rains.
You didn't fill.
You can see the water collecting groove along the path.
I told you in the morning about the techniques they had about water system. I'll show you, not the historic part of Petra, it's more like the natural part of Petra. Here.
The path was a bit challenging in some spots. At the end of the path we reached Aniashu and Unaishu tombs. The tombs were plundered probably centuries ago.
Didn't find anything, it's all roped out.
You can imagine that only the wealthy could afford them, and they likely contained many valuables at one point. After that we headed back to the gorge. We needed to make it to our next stop in Wadi Rum. We only explored a part of Petra. Another popular building is the monastery, but it would take at least 2 hours. It is the furthest site in Petra. We took horses on the way back, as we were getting tired, overheated and dehydrated. We stopped for lunch and then proceeded to Wadi Rum. We needed to drive south, towards Aqaba. Wadi Rum Desert was on the way back to Israel. We pretty much followed the route of ancient caravans. The freshwater springs at Wadi Rum make it an ideal stopover for caravans traveling between Arabia and the Levant. Levant is a combined area of Israel, Jordan, Palestine, and Syria. We changed our taxi to a 4x4 at the Wadi Rum village, and continued our way. People inhabited the area since at least 4500 BC. By about the 4th century BC, Wadi Rum was settled by the Nabateans, probably before they established a capital in Petra. Presently, Zalabia Bedouins who live there developed eco-adventure tourism, particularly for trekkers and climbers. Other popular activities include camping under the stars, and riding camels and Arabian horses. So, we entered the valley through the Wadi Rum village, drove to Lawrence Spring and then headed to Khazali Canyon. Wadi Rum is also known as the Valley of the Moon. Several movies about Mars and other planets were filmed there, while tourism industry started after the movie Lawrence of Arabia. Wadi Rum was used in several other well-known movies, such as Red Planet, Transformers, Prometheus, The Last Days on Mars, The Martian, Aladdin, Star Wars, and The Dune.
Good. Thank you. Escovia, Bedouin. For the sugar. No sugar.
There are many sites with petroglyphs in Wadi Rum. Most depict animals and people, some appear to be maps, and some are inscriptions written in ancient North Arabian alphabets. This is the Wadi Rum village. We drove through it on the way back from the valley. We had a short visit to Wadi Rum Valley, just to have an idea of this magical and surreal place. We needed to drive back to Israel and cross the border before dark.